Hi, welcome to Wine and Dynasty. My name is Larita.
I'm Alex.
And we are here to talk about everything 1980s Dynasty. Wine and Dynasty is brought to you by Pop Culture Co-op,
A network by women and gender expansive individuals to talk about
pop culture.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much if you're joining us live.
That's right.
Please, we love chatting with you in the chat, so feel free to pop up in there, but please be respectful or please get gone.
That's right.
Yes.
So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, hello, day drinker. How are you doing?
Back.
All right, well, speaking of day drinks, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking not alcohol.
That's right, because we have to drive later.
We do have to drive later.
From our, I know, I did
fucked
not
up.
think.
I fucked
no,
up. It's
I
okay.
did it. I
we
poured
prepared
the
everything
drinks.
else. It's okay.
Okay.
We'll do it again. Take two.
Okay, so we are drinking from our custom Wine and Dynasty tumblers. We're drinking sparkling apple cider.
I love it. Little
Because
Martinelli's.
that's right. So
good.
cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I turned it the wrong way. Oops. Boom. Okay, hold on. I got to drink after you cheers or else it's bad luck.
Okay, this was all my fault. I was a bad pourer.
No, it's good. I love this stuff.
It's really
so good. It tastes like
delicious.
my childhood.
Yeah.
And every holiday, because my parents did not, well, my mom didn't drink. So every holiday we had this.
It's very fancy. It's very fancy. And
It's
I
sparkling.
think that, just because you're not drinking alcohol doesn't mean you can't drink something awesome.
Exactly. Who doesn't love a little fancy apple juice?
That's right. So where did we leave off last week in Dynasty?
Oh,
Last week was
gosh.
episode 8.
Last week was a hard
The
week
lie?
to go through. That was
What was it?
that was a hard week to go. It was Crystal's lie.
Crystal's lie.
Crystal told a big lie.
Yeah, she did. She did.
told a big lie. So as we know, Crystal, I would say pawned
Yeah.
her fancy necklace.
She did.
To get Matthew some money to restart his rig.
Yes.
And also she infuriated Blake, who found out that she was actually on birth control.
That's right.
Very
Despite
upsetting.
her saying, yes, I do want to have a baby with you.
Exactly.
And
And
he
fa-
handles it like an absolute fucking maniac and rapes her.
And rapes her. So great. So
yeah,
great.
so we end the episode with marital rape.
Exactly. And Fallon convinces Steven to stay in Denver, Colorado.
Even though he kind of wants to go, he's not sure where
He's
he
not
wants
sure.
to go.
He's not sure what he wants out of his life.
He's not. And Fallon's like, don't worry, I'll tell you what you want.
It's big
She's
Blake
like,
energy.
trust me.
It's
Yeah,
big
it
Blake
is.
energy.
I mean, yeah, this episode and last episode has really been, you see kids doing exactly as their parents have taught them. So it's fantastic.
Meet Alexis Carrington.
Oh yeah, it's
Season two.
gonna be real
We're
good.
getting there, kids. We're getting there. One episode at a time.
One at a time.
One at a time.
All right, so episode 9.
Episode 9.
The necklace. Okay, so the first scene, we open up at Denver Carrington with Blake asking his secretary to call his wife Crystal on the phone. The scene cuts to Crystal, fully dressed, laying in the bed, holding back tears.
There we
The
go.
camera zooms in on their wedding photograph where they're so happy, and then rests on Crystal's sad face. The scene ends with Blake asking his secretary to try again later.
Yeah, because Crystal's not having it.
No, she's not answering
She's not
it.
picking up the phone. As you can see in the image in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, I believe that's how that works, right? They're just seeing the same thing we're seeing.
I don't know, I'm like,
in the
left is right,
lower,
I
I
don't
know it's in the lower corner that isn't us. You see the image of Crystal laying in bed. Her book is open. You cannot see the phone because I couldn't get a wide shot of that. But she's not picking up the phone.
No.
And honestly, I wouldn't be picking up the phone either. Like, fuck you, Blake.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm amazed that she's still at the house.
Yeah.
I would have thought, like, after...
in their bedroom.
Yeah.
In that bed.
Yeah. I would have expected her to go to Doris's house because Doris, from the last episode, her friend who taught her how to fence things, Doris is a real OG. So
Doris secured the bag.
yeah, Doris is, she's a one to know. So I'm surprised that she's not at Doris's or somewhere else, but she's at home. Yeah, she's not picking up the phone. And Blake, I don't even think it's showing Blake feeling bad for what he did. It's more of Blake trying to think of, like, how am I going to get out of what I did?
I fucked up.
Yeah.
But how can I somehow get away with making this quote unquote better so
Yeah.
that my wife doesn't leave me?
Yeah.
Oops.
So, yeah.
sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Blake, yikes.
Big yikes. Big yikes. So that's how we're starting off this week's episode. Now, while this is all happening, at the Carrington Manor, we flip over to the Blaisdell house, where Lindsay is getting ready to go to a lovely party and being assisted by Claudia. While this is happening, Claudia goes downstairs. She's chatting with Matthew. Matthew receives a call from our beloved Walter to tell him that the oil is coming in. And while Claudia wants to join Matthew on this adventure to the rig, he says no, leading to a disagreement between the two of them, which Lindsay then overhears, much to her chagrin. So as you can see in the images we have here, there's a lovely moment between Matthew and Claudia as they relax in their home. Walter hops on the phone in his ever-loving way to tell Matthew the good news. Claudia, asking to come along, feels rebuffed. And Lindsay, always the creeper, always popping in at the worst moment to hear an argument.
I mean, I think that the things that stood out to me is that Claudia is very skilled at making clothing. Like, that dress is absolutely gorgeous. But I would say that both Claudia and Matthew are wrong in this scene.
Agreed.
On one hand, Claudia, if you'll excuse me, I think our co-host is...
Our co-host is tapping in. Excuse us. Our co-host is tapping in. It's the cutest co-host.
By co-host, I mean my dog.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, our co-host who likes attention. I thought she had something to say.
But doesn't want to be on screen.
Oh no, she has something.
She wants. Oh, come here. Okay, I got it.
Oh, she only wants one of us.
I got her. Come here.
Okay, she's got. Oh, and there she is.
We go.
All right, she has thoughts.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, and she matches Lindsay.
Oh,
so
look at
nice.
You. Are you ready to go to the party?
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
that
She's
was in
like,
my
let's
Right.
kiss.
We make out with tongues on Wine and Dynasty.
We like it with tongues on.
We like it with tongues.
Okay,
on
that's merch right there.
There we go.
All right, so they're both wrong because Claudia shouldn't be asking Matthew to go to work with him.
No,
she just shouldn't. But Matthew is saying that when we celebrate, we're gonna celebrate in a place where you can't go. Well, if you don't think your wife is comfortable there, why would you go there?
Right. Also, as we all know, women are at the Hillside Bar. Yeah. We know that women are there.
Every shot we've seen, there are women present. So it's just a really weird, misogynistic argument to make. And I don't. All right, co-host, you get in your bed.
But at the same time, there are ways that that's not really the space that Claudia is familiar with.
I mean, I'm really happy that Matthew doesn't want her to be in the urine-soaked carpet hall of horrors that is the Hillside.
Why carpeted bars? Why the 80s? Why?
I do, but yeah, I just think that him saying those reasons being things happen there that you shouldn't see, and it's well, then you shouldn't be there.
You shouldn't be doing it.
So they're both absolutely wrong. I will say the best part of the scene for me was when Claudia convinces Lindsay, the creeper, to go to the party anyway, because she just wants Lindsay to be a kid, which is very difficult for Lindsay to do. She's been through a lot, and Lindsay's a warrior.
And she's very reassuring. Even in the moment of having this disagreement with Matthew, she says to Lindsay, your father, we were both wrong. He's allowed to blow up every once in a while, and he's a good man. Yeah. So, don't take it out on him. And all married people fight. I thought that was a really wonderful thing for her to say. If you are married, and you don't even just have to be married, all relationships have struggles. Yeah. And this is a totally valid thing. I think in so many ways, especially children of our generation kind of grew up with this idea of you get married and you figure it out and you live happily ever after. And that's not real. In every relationship, you're going to have disagreements. And whether one person is right and the other person is wrong, or you're both wrong, or you're both right, or whatever the situation is, it's realistic to think if you have a relationship, this is going to happen, and that's okay. Let's normalize talking about non-perfect relationships. Thank you very much, Claudia.
Yeah, and I also think Claudia is the poster child for when you get to know someone really well and you see the way they communicate and you're like, you've been to therapy, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
I mean, really, Claudia's putting in the work.
Absolutely.
So we love Claudia.
And her therapist is terrible. Her therapist is awful.
So we'll come for him later.
We are.
Oh, you just wait.
I have him labeled a shitty therapist in the
Me
photo.
Too. Synchronicity.
So
oh my
amazing.
gosh. It's
amazing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right.
So we're moving on.
The next scene. All right, so Blake comes home late for work after not having spoken to Crystal all day long. He kind of tries to act like everything's fine. He dances around the fact that he raped her in that very room the day before.
Oh, yeah, he don't bring it up at all.
And then he goes on to emotionally manipulate her. So in the pictures we have Blake handing Crystal some flowers. He gives her fuchsia. So fuchsia are, I looked it up and didn't rewrite it down. I think fuchsia symbolizes like, I think passion. How well did I do my homework? Passion.
I want to say fidelity, but I feel like that's wrong.
No, you're right. Okay, sorry. They are a symbol of elegance, good taste, confiding love, and amiability.
Okay, nothing of what I said, but also nothing what Blake is doing.
But they were all fancy words.
They were.
We were just throwing them out there.
They were.
I mean, now none of those words are today's SAT word. No. I have one for later. Okay.
What's it gonna be?
Oh, I'm so excited. But yeah, so she says, "Oh, the fuchsia trick." So he's done this before. We rewind it back to I think the first episode when they get in an argument. He fills her entire apartment with flowers. This time he can only get one because he interrupted the guy who owns the flower shop. He interrupted this man while he had dinner to convince him to give him some flowers. And he's like, oh, well, I just told him that I want to say I'm sorry to my wife and that I'm so sorry she thinks I'm someone that I'm not. And it's like, I bet if you had told the flower guy, I need to buy some flowers for my wife because I raped her, I don't think he would have opened the shop.
I don't think he would have finished. No, I'm not putting down my fork for you. Fuck you, Blake Carrington.
And maybe he would have stabbed him with the fork.
I would have too.
I mean, I'm just like, the way he's like being, sorry. Oh, I have no words.
No, I'm like, get hot about it. Yes.
It's just the fact that rather than saying to Crystal, I did these things, I hurt you badly, he's like, I would tell someone else. He's like, oh, I told someone else that I did these things. What kind of like through, you can't do a through pass like apology.
I mean, he does though, because as we can see in the middle shot here, Crystal accepts that apology. She accepts that apology. Also, he says something super creepy. Let's be real, the baby comment. So in describing how much he loves Crystal, and I love the comparison that you made here, so I hope that you will make it again after I recap.
Oh no,
he talks about how he wishes that the baby for him, that their potential child for him represents a little part of him growing inside her so that they can be together all the time, and that when he's gone that she can have a piece of him. Okay, gag.
Okay, which now I do now remember the reference. Yes. It reminds us, it reminded me of that letter to Charles, to Camilla, when he, joked about like, I wish you could carry me around with you all day, and she's like a tampon. Which is,
I mean, she said tampon though. Blake is the one who's like, I want to be inside of you and live inside of you. So when I die, there's a piece of me inside of you. And Crystal, for some reason, is like, that is so romantic.
It's so gross.
I forgive you, Blake. Let's embrace. Oh, baby, yes. Like,
I was pretty disgusted.
What?
Yeah.
Well, and then Blake is all like, look at him. In the lower photo, he's so excited. He's like nose in there, sniffing. Like, bro, no.
Well, and the fact that like, it's not just like, I want you to have my baby. It's that like, I want you to have my baby because then my legacy will last long.
Right.
It's not about, he's like, you'll always have someone that's a part of me.
It's a part of me.
Which is gross.
And maybe if you loved me, I would live forever. Ugh. Codependent.
The manipulative.
Sorry. Just couldn't. Blake, every time I want to be on your side, you pull some shit.
We can never be on Blake's
side. I can never be on Blake's side. I'm sorry. No. I'm not on the rapist's side. No.
So then next.
All right. So moving on from that, we have a little throwaway scene where are we here? Oh my goodness. I got to the wrong slide. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. I'm producing and talking, and this is what happens when I skip a slide. Very quick scene. We have Walter, Matthew, and the boys down at the rig, and they are waiting for the oil to come in. Spoiler alert, hasn't come in yet. So super quick scene.
Yeah.
Easy to the point. While this is all happening, Lindsay has in fact gone over to Tanya's party.
We like Tanya.
We like Tanya. We don't like Christopher, who is also there. Fuck you, Christopher. But Lindsay goes over to Tanya's party. She's a bit distracted by, things that have been happening at home. Tanya, her best friend, I would say self-identified best friend, tries to get her involved in the party and says, why don't you give your mom a call because she hadn't been home earlier. Lindsay heads over to the phone like a responsible young adult in the time before cell phones and beepers, gives a call to her mom, but unfortunately sees that there's no answer.
And her look of consternation is really heartbreaking.
She's really concerned.
Yeah.
She's concerned about the situation.
Because probably in the past when her mother disappeared, it was due to her mental health.
Exactly.
And so if her mother is having some difficulties, then Lindsay wants to make sure that her mom, Claudia, is safe.
Well, and Claudia specifically says to Lindsay when she encourages her to leave for the party to give me a call when you get there.
Yeah.
So again, it's this instruction, I think that especially children from the pre-cell phone pager generation remember our parents telling you, like, call me when you get there, call me when you get there.
Yeah, I was that kid that never called.
Oh, my mom would have hunted me down.
Okay, so this one time,
I love it. Tell me more.
I went on a basketball trip, so we lived at the very tip of Japan.
Okay.
Of the Big Island, of Honshu. And
Japan, so cash, no big deal.
We were on a trip in the Tokyo area, like my basketball team.
So what would that be the equivalent of in like American distance?
Like if my traveling basketball team went from like New York to Atlanta.
Okay.
Or something like that.
I want to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, so it was like a trip. And I didn't call my mom the whole weekend because I was like, what? No news is good news. Like, I'm fine. I was on a military base. What was going to happen? And we get on the bus, like on the, stop it, on the third day. And my coaches start doing a rap. And they did a rap about how my mother had tracked me down and called them because she knew them.
Okay, so your mom basically sent you the equivalent, a military equivalent of a howler.
Yes.
Your mom sent you a howler.
In rap form. Because we're black.
Yes.
Yeah, my mom said, I got a howler. And like the
it.
whole bus was like cracking
You think
up.
Mrs. Weasley got it?
No,
you're wrong.
Yeah. My mom sent a rap about like how I wasn't shit because I didn't call her.
I mean,
it was so funny.
But you're not shit because you didn't call her.
I know.
How could you? The whole weekend?
Okay, I was doing basketball. It was a basketball tournament, and on that tournament, I had to take my AP exam, my AP US History exam, in the middle of the basketball tournament. Played a game, and on top of that, I'm also not a good basketball player.
Okay, the
so
lies.
Played in a game. No, it's true. Played in a game, was bad. Took my my AP exam, and then went back and played another game. And let me tell you something. I was so bad and got so little playtime that after this one game, everyone was sitting around in the locker room crying. And me and my friend Maisha were just kind of looking at each other like, and everyone's like, we lost. And then after we left, she was like, no, y'all lost. You lost. We didn't play.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's how bad we were.
I thought your mom was going to be like, oh, he's sitting on the bench. You never no time to call me.
No, I know, right?
You don't have playtime. You got time to call. You're not playing.
And we've digressed.
Okay,
So basically,
we
Lindsay
are on
Lindsay
task.
is a better child than me.
That's
okay.
Okay. Long story short, Lindsay is disagree.
Lindsay's a good egg.
You might be a good egg, but Claudia's not home. Where's Claudia?
That's why I didn't call in case my mom was out.
Okay, well, I really hope your mom wasn't at Scandals.
I hope she was.
I hope she was not at Scandals.
Scandalous.
So, but as we've learned, that's where Claudia was.
That's right. So Claudia is not going to sit around while Matthew is out celebrating. She gets dressed up in royal purple and heads down to partay.
She crimped that hair.
Oh, she crimped the hair.
The hair.
Crimped it within an inch of its life.
Oh, it is.
Okay. So two men approach her. She swats one down, but the other one, Larry the lizard,
There's Larry.
she seems to hit it off with Larry. They dance, they drink, they laugh, they have a good time.
Exactly.
She eventually leaves the bar with Larry and has very, very...
Wait, hold on. They drink, they dance, they drink, they have a good time.
And then she takes off with Larry, and they go back to his gated apartment, and he tries to kiss her, and she says no. He tries to get physical, and she says she's married, and then Larry's like, me too. Claudia runs away, and the scene's over.
It started out kind of hopeful.
Yeah, let's go back to the good times.
I know. Okay, let's see here. So, boop. Okay, we're gonna go in reverse.
Yes.
Drinking, dancing. I like this. Let's go with the dancing scene. This one's nice. Oh no, dancing. We said dancing. There we go.
The music was fantastic.
The music was fantastic.
Like, there was some good hustle.
And they have like a little sunken dance floor. Like, this is a throwback to like dance clubs of the day when like disco was a thing and you used to go out to dance. Like, people would go out dancing.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those Scandals. It's definitely I can't say it any other way. It's definitely one of those places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you see when the scene opens, again, I could have included a million pictures, but you see folks getting on the dance floor. It's roped off.
It was good.
Oh, they're ready. They have their moves.
Yeah. It was, I was really impressed.
I was too.
You know, Larry comes off as quite charming. He comes up. But then I would say, so we see him at the top of the screen in the middle, and our SAT word of the day is vulpine. Okay, I found Larry to be rather vulpine, so like fox or like kind of Weasley. That's what I thought when he started talking to her, and then it was a payoff when he proved himself to be a weasel.
Totally gross. I will say though, I hate to have to defend men's behavior or abusive male behavior, but why is it that like this is the only man that understands no?
Yeah.
Like, she does have to say it a couple times, and he is an asshole about it, but he doesn't, rape her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blake.
He's like, this is not the vibe.
This is not the vibe we're going for.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm not trying to completely control your life. I'm just trying to get laid.
Exactly. Because my wife apparently.
Yeah.
isn't
Larry's
home.
like, power moves. That's not my king.
No.
It's not.
No.
Doesn't
Not
get
into
funny.
it. No. Just trying to get the dick wet. It's true. It's true. Excuse me. So while this is going on, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Miss Fallon has found her way to Michael's quarters, or as Ham likes to call it, Michael's shitty pool house.
His little shitty pool house.
Little
cabana boy.
Has found her way over to the pool house. Perhaps for some attention, perhaps for some trouble. We're never really sure.
Maybe a late night swim.
Maybe
she likes to skinny dip. We know
it's
that.
true. She was wearing a loose outfit. There could definitely be a bathing suit under there, or just the bathing suit, the birthday suit, bathing suit situation. And Michael's already down to his skivvies, so he's ready to go. But upon seeing her, he strips down with anticipation. Fallon enters with all the seduction technique of one Fallon Carrington, and is actually a little bit put off by the fact that Michael is not as receptive to her wiles as he normally is. And through their conversation, she kind of implies that it's because of Jennifer, his new love love interest, let me put it that way, even though I say he uses her as an object, who is Cecil Carrington's secretary. And in their conversation, he reveals that Jennifer, in fact, knows a little bit of a secret about Crystal, and from another secretary had heard that last week, Crystal Carrington went to go see a loan shark with a very lovely piece of jewelry that she had owned, and left a certain amount of time later without the jewelry, but $40,000 richer. Case Scandal. The scene ends with Fallon being so turned on by Michael's deception that they then probably have sex.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that's what they do.
Definitely.
That was a wet kiss. It's a wet kiss.
It was a wet kiss.
It's a wet kiss.
She got some juicy gossip, and he is in those sexy, silky shorts. Of course they did it.
It's a wet kiss.
The big takeaway from this scene with me is that, aside from the fact that silky shorts need to make a comeback, is that being a secretary is where it's at. Okay? Yeah, when I quit my teaching career and told my husband, I was like, I think I want to be a secretary. And he's like, you would be bored. And I was like, I don't think you know who I am.
Let me tell you, I was an executive assistant on Wall Street for a year or two before the crash, the most recent crash, I would say. And my Lord, I used to feel like the Cheshire Cat, like sitting behind my boss and just watching all the things go down. I definitely did some arts and crafts projects, which is what we would call it when we would forge documents. You see some shit.
Yeah.
I saw some shit. And we were like, the company that I was a part of, which was like a subsidiary of the larger company, we did water coolers. We leased water coolers, but the company was a financial services company.
You got to treat your secretaries well. I'm just saying, like, I want to get on Doris's level, fencing things, hiding money. Doris.
I know. I want to be like, yo, Jennifer, though. Girl.
Jennifer's bad.
She is not. You are spilling all these secrets.
You had one daytime sex date with cold, greasy pizza and champagne out of a plastic flute,
at
and
a
you're giving
roadside
up
motel.
secrets.
Exactly.
How dare you?
If Cecil knew about this, he would be big mad. He'd be hot grits mad. Hot grits mad.
Or Cecil would be like, let me show you the way.
True.
There could be,
true.
This is a spinoff we need, a My Fair Lady type thing where Cecil shows Jennifer how to really do like business espionage.
Okay, I love it. I love it.
All right.
I love it. I'm here for it.
All right, so friends watching, that's all yours.
I'm
It's all yours.
I'm like Esther Shapiro's ghost.
We have too many projects right now, but we'd love to see.
We'd love it.
someone
If you
take
could
off.
just hop on that, that'd be so great.
Yeah. All right. So our next scene.
So
in our next scene, rewinding it back, Claudia ran away from the Vulpine Larry. Okay. She called Steven and she says she needs him, and he's like, "Cool, I'll be there in 15 minutes. They meet up at a park and they go on a moonlight stroll, and they discuss their relationship. And then it kind of ends there, and it's uncertain as to when next they will see each other. I wonder.
Scandal. I love it.
I mean, my number one takeaway from this scene, and this is something that I said the last time we saw Steven in a scene, was that it is a shame that his shirt was not off. But I'm really thirsty for
Al Corley.
Al Corley.
He's very attractive.
He is. He's so cute.
He's an attractive man.
So cute.
Look at those little hairs, and he has so many feelings.
He
He's
does.
so sweet.
He is. And speaking of sweet, they discussed the kiss that they shared in Claudia's kitchen. She's like, it was just a little kiss in a messy kitchen, and then she describes it as brotherly.
Okay, first of all, this family, this whole show, what are you doing in Colorado? What is happening?
I mean, I guess they, like me, thought that that's the only way you kiss people that you love. I mean, I just think that it's just a strange way. It's like, come on, Claudia, don't deny it.
Do not deny it.
Don't, like, she's trying to, like, friend zone him and be like, oh, bro, remember when we kissed?
But then especially after she's like, oh, you're going to your cabin. I wish that I could come.
I could go.
Heavy sigh. Like,
Yeah.
okay, also, like, you're in the middle of the night. You're out here freaking out. Like, given, I understand that. But, like, who'd you call? Steven.
Yeah.
Steven. So don't act like that didn't mean anything to you. You could have called multiple other people. You could have called Walter.
Yeah.
Like, no.
So her being like, oh, I wish I could go to the cabin with you. I'm like, okay, Love Shack.
No.
You can go.
No.
You can go.
No.
So yeah, the conversation was very interesting about like what men are like and women are like. I was like, this is very men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I was like a preteen or like a 13 or 14
I was about to say,
when
I
it came
didn't
out.
think you were a
I
teenager.
definitely read it and I was like,
oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I even read that. I've read some horrendous relationship books. I also
There's
read
a lot of them.
What was the Rules? I read that one. Okay, that was from the '90s. The Rules about how to get your mans. And I also read Why Men Marry Bitches.
Because they're fun.
I mean, I cannot. Like, looking back, I'm like, I can't believe I read that. But
did you
I did.
identify as a bitch at the time?
Were
you like, I'm looking for a man?
I probably tried things in that book.
Probably.
Just like basically, I mean, it's things like, oh, if he suggests you go a place for a date, you suggest somewhere else and another time. Like, you need to be the manager of the relationship. Blah, 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 blah.
Yo, you can
be busy, but not too busy.
You make the plans for me. I'm tired, okay? I'm tired. You can go ahead and make plans. I will show up. You can bring me something in bed. I'm tired. I don't have time to make plans.
Well, I think that we're going to see with like Claudia and Steven, things will be different.
I also have to say that I love this little moment between Fallon and Steven when they run into each other on the staircase. Steven is heading out. Fallon is obviously heading in from her rendezvous with Michael in the pool house. And, she says to him, where are you going? He says, I have an emergency, and asks him the time. And he looks at his watch and he says his watch isn't working. And she asks him if his biorhythms are off. And I'm just like, that is so 80s. So 80s.
Oh my gosh.
Also, that hair is unruffled. Good job, Fallon.
Yeah.
Good.
She did not have hump
Fallon.
hair. That's
she
impressive.
She did not. She was like, I'm ready to go.
You're like, no fuck bumps here.
Not at all. Just in case Jeff wants to call and check up on her. She's ready to go. She doesn't want. It's totally fine. Totally fine. So I would assume that this is actually the next morning that takes place.
Yes.
Because we have a little breakfast moment between Fallon and Crystal. Now, I'm just very quickly gonna review this before I pull up our beautiful faces. Because this shot, the look on Crystal's face when Fallon is talking to her is just absolutely amazing. So in this middle image that is covering up our beautiful faces, you see Fallon and Crystal having a moment over breakfast. Fallon has entered and is in a disturbingly good mood, actually making a joke with Crystal and being very chummy with her.
Oh, I'd be scared.
I am terrified. And you can see it in Crystal's face. Crystal is
like,
terrified. What is going on? And she asks her if she and Blake will be attending a party that is being held by one of Blake's business associates that evening. And if she is, would she mind lending, could Fallon possibly borrow?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. When I've been drinking, I'm like, ooh, this apple juice got me messed up.
This apple juice is strong.
This is too much. It's the
It's
bubbles.
like apple juice, not Applejack. Like,
No,
it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's the bubbles. It's the bubbles. Ask her if she can borrow her emerald necklace. Now, let's remember that this is the necklace that Crystal actually had pawned for the money to give to Matthew. And even though it wasn't specifically mentioned by Michael that this was the piece of jewelry, Fallon has inferred that that is what has been going on.
Fallon's a smart cookie.
Fallon ain't dumb.
Yeah.
She ain't dumb. She might be a lot of other shit, but she ain't dumb.
Yeah.
And Crystal says, no problem. You can absolutely borrow it, and kind of plays it off like no big problem. She's literally sipping her tea. It is not an issue for her whatsoever.
Yeah, she's like, I got it covered.
I got it covered. No big deal. Which actually, this is a pretty quick transition into the next scene, which happens fairly immediately.
Yeah, they finish up the breakfast that Fallon insults and insinuates that the help is stealing. She got that from her daddy because he said that earlier in the season. So Fallon and Crystal are in Crystal's room. Crystal gets the necklace from the safe in her closet. And while she's looking at it, Fallon makes up a lie about how she helped Blake select this necklace for Crystal because he wanted to get her something special. And Crystal's like, what the hell are you talking about? You were in Reno.
You're Reno, bitch.
And then Fallon's like, oh,
Right.
right. So then eventually, after inspecting it, and Fallon's holds her cards pretty close to her chest. I can't tell if she knows that it's a fake.
I can't tell either. And actually, I'm going to pause you for a moment because I did this. This is the reproduction, the real one. Ooh, real reproduction.
Okay.
Reproduction, real. We all know this is the exact same prop.
It is. Oh,
So
absolutely.
it looks the same, but if let's just pretend that it's not, I would be fooled.
It looks pretty.
I would be fooled.
Same. I know, but we're not Fallon. Fallon is.
That's
super
true.
smart.
That's true.
So Fallon ultimately decides she's going to give the necklace back. She doesn't want to wear it. She leaves, and then Crystal lets out a huge breath because
sigh.
she didn't get caught. But then she burns the receipt, which this is the worst covering. This is like Trump organization level idiocy because she's got her name on it. It says reproduce emerald necklace and then the price $800 and
We copy anything.
yeah, it's just really, really sloppy work. I think that she needs to learn from Doris.
Absolutely.
But she gets smart and burns it at the end, but it's a little disturbing that she does that. I do love the fact that even though Fallon's really pouring on the charm, but she's also she's a little viper. So she mentions her a friend wearing emerald cabochon, which are the pebbled emeralds, and Fallon's basically like, if it doesn't have facets, I don't want to wear it. So yeah, she's like, I mean, it was really cold.
I mean,
I'm not a fan of cabochon jewelry either.
Neither am I.
But this is the fact she's she called them pebbles.
She called them river pebbles.
River pebbles.
River pebbles.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's really
$40,000 worth of river pebbles.
Right? So just that fact that Fallon is constantly flexing about how she knows who's worth her time and who's not. But also just the fact that Crystal just let that receipt be in the house. She needs to tighten up because that receipt never should have been allowed in the house.
The receipt was in with the necklace that was in the safe, which, by the way, they have a closet wall safe. I was aroused.
It was nice.
I loved it. She was just in there let me take out my jewelry. And then she closed it, but then she moved all of her clothes over it.
Yeah.
We don't know where the safe is.
Right. Or Fallon wouldn't know.
Right. Okay,
So,
Crystal.
like, Crystal needs to practice good OPSEC, okay?
Exactly. Well, she's learning from Fallon, and Fallon isn't telling her all the details because Fallon needs to get her own. She needs to get her own information.
I guess. Do better, girl. Do better.
I mean, but they all need to do better. Honestly, this whole show is people who need to
if
do
they
better.
did better, we wouldn't have the show.
This is true. This is true.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for being hot messes.
BMS.
Speaking
BMS.
of hot messes,
Oh, no.
the next scene has us join Miss Claudia with her shitty-ass therapist. Now, shitty therapist being in the lower right-hand corner, Miss Claudia being in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the look on her face of consternation, frustration, I would say side-eye, straight to the front.
Well, she looks very angry.
She is very angry. She's very angry, and I'd be angry too, because as she's sitting in therapy with her shitty-ass therapist, talking about how she's concerned about her behavior and the things that she has participated in, including going out the night before, trying to pick up a man, and all these other things, her therapist is mostly focused on whether or not she has confronted Matthew about Crystal.
Yeah. And in some way she has. She did say when he was like, oh, no, I'm going to be busy celebrating with my friend. She's like, with who? Who are you going to be celebrating with? So she has asked him, like, who she's been with. He's been with, we're just going to plug Power Source.
Sorry, friends, just a little.
It's all like,
see, that was the one thing we forgot. We knew we forgot something.
We're so subtle, too.
We're just like...
Be like, BRB, just fucking up.
Hold on. No problems. We just hold this up like, it's fine. No, it's good.
They can't see us. We can't see them.
Exactly. It's our screen of technical difficulties.
And we lost a viewer.
Was it me?
No.
Oh,
no.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry. It was a person who was not us.
Wow. Okay, whatever. I thought that was funny.
It was funny.
Look,
okay,
people, it's not just about Dynasty. It's about our dynamic. Okay, if you don't understand why you're here. No, but please still come back. Come back.
Please clap.
We're really desperate. We need the attention.
Please clap.
Please clap for us.
Okay, so
we're doing great, sweeties. We're doing.
This scene is super stressful because it's almost like Claudia wants her therapist to tell her that she's bad because of what she did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which honestly, like, you're not bad, but I would be concerned too.
Yeah.
Like, especially for somebody who has struggled with their mental health. We don't know exactly, other than, they've said that she's had a quote mental breakdown.
Yeah.
We don't know what that was caused by. I'm going to assume anxiety/depression based on Claudia's character and how she has referenced her own struggles.
Yeah.
But it's like, listen, you are her therapist. She's coming to you saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. I'm acting out in these self-destructive ways because of what I've just found out about my husband. And her therapist's response is basically to be like, well, even though you're a victim, have you talked to your victimizer about how you're victimized?
Yeah, that was infuriating. And then you see, like, you can see it on her face in that shot.
Yeah.
I will say about this scene, her sweater is distractingly hideous.
Oh, and the shoulder pads are so big.
It's like mohair plus shoulder pads plus that Tron-like pattern.
Yo, you just called her.
It's
a Tron sweater.
It's a Tron sweater.
No, it's a Tron sweater.
And then in that particular shot that we have of her with her the center part and her like looking from above, she kind of looks like the villain from the painting in Ghostbusters. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Vigo.
Yeah,
Vigo.
She
has those evil eyes.
She's about to go Vigo on his ass.
I would go Vigo on his ass.
But
too,
I mean, he deserves it because he's terrible.
He's terrible,
absolutely terrible,
and she's paying him money for this.
Yeah, and I think that she does eventually get to her truth. The reason why she doesn't want to ask Matthew is because she knows. And she's not ready to hear that. Yeah. Like, she doesn't want to hear it from him.
Which is fair.
It would be heartbreaking. So,
also fair.
But also that sweater.
And also, if you have a therapist or a mental health care professional that is treating you in this way, please find somebody who is going to listen to you and hear your concerns, especially if you are practicing some self-harm, whether it is physical, emotional, mental,
or putting putting yourself into difficult situations.
Exactly. This is in many ways, like, we're making light of this, but this is Claudia's cry for help, and her therapist is not listening. So please, if you have a therapist who's not listening to you,
If your therapist is trash, move on.
Move on. Find someone else, or reach out to your local mental health care group. Anybody. This is not going to help you. It is not your fault if you are putting yourself in these dangerous situations.
I feel like you and I approach the world with a loving care of a very earnest residential assistant in a dorm. We're like the best RAs
with
ever.
With my bag, like, so,
are you okay
today?
We are taking care of the children.
Are we hydrating? Okay,
that's good. I know. I think it's good. I feel like
it
we
is
care
too.
for the people.
We're here
and
doing
that's
it.
why people love us.
It's true.
That's why I
love you too. Oh my God, we're gonna cry on
so
camera.
good.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Okay. In the next scene,
oh my goodness,
which things you ought not do.
You ought not do.
Claudia confronts Crystal in an art gallery. Claudia does not even pretend to want to be nice or to care about art. Crystal's wandering around looking. Claudia walks straight through like a heat-seeking missile, right to Crystal. Crystal's really nice, and Claudia's like, "Not today, Satan. Let me tell you something." And then she's like, "All right, so tell me about you and Matthew." Crystal punts and is like, "Well, why don't you ask Matthew about it?" And Claudia's like, "'Cause I'm here right now."
After I called your staff to ask you where you were and then tracked you down to this art gallery.
This is verging on, this is not good. For multiple reasons. I think that Claudia should not have stalked Crystal.
No, she shouldn't.
That's your first bad move. Mm-hmm. But also the staff member that told Claudia where Crystal was should be fired immediately. I mean, this is in this case of it's a nighttime soap, so the stakes are it's just some fictitious characters. But when you're letting everyone know where you are, it really puts you at bodily harm. That's how Kim Kardashian got kidnapped, and her life was threatened in France by letting people know where she was. So I mean, this big and we know that Blake cares about security because he had a bunch of security guards who beat up Walter on his wedding day. So if he has a whole security guard house,
with dogs,
he's
ready.
he's got those Malinois ready to go. Mm-hmm. He's got his little goons. So security is an issue for them. So for someone to be like, "Oh, Crystal, yeah, so first she's gonna go to brunch, and then she's gonna go to the art gallery, and then she's gonna meet her friend for cocktails." Who does that? It's just not
Gunderson.
great.
Mrs. Gunderson.
Mrs. Gunderson.
Mrs. Gunderson get fired.
You're going down. Because earlier, Mrs. Gunderson let Fallon snatch a letter to Steven that was.
Saying.
Oh yeah, Mrs. Gunderson is the weak link.
Mrs. Gunderson. It's Mrs. Gunderson.
And Blake's all worried about people stealing food. You should be worried about her telling your secrets, Blake. Blake. Yeah,
not okay.
So, because of Mrs. Gunderson, Claudia tracks Crystal down. I think that every time Claudia brings up the affair to Claudia, they're like, "How come you don't just ask Matthew?" Why is that her job? She also did ask him. Last episode, she was like, she gave him the look. She was like, "Oh, I know." And he kind of was just like, "I'm gonna pretend that nothing's going on here." So Claudia has asked Matthew twice that we know of. And so for Crystal to just be like, "Oh, well, you should talk to Matthew about this." Why? You were there too. So yeah, it just really, Crystal trying to play the innocent here, not working.
Not working, especially because as we remember, Crystal and Matthew shared a very passionate kiss no more than 2 episodes ago when she went to go bring him the money for that necklace in the first place.
That's right.
So let's be real. It's not like that is something that went on in the past, is dead and gone, or that you misunderstood the situation. You were aware of the situation, and you were aware of the current situation.
Yeah.
So come on, Crystal.
This isn't Peggy Hill bringing in Boggle Sand.
It is not. This is... Oh, Peggy Hill. Oh, Peggy Hill. Oh my God.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, on the cartoon King of the Hill, Peggy thinks she's an amazing teacher. This man contacts her from prison.
Boggle champion.
She's a Boggle champion. And this guy contacts her from prison. He's like, "You're the best teacher I ever had." He's like, "But I can't read." And she's like, "I can teach you, and we'll learn through playing Boggle." So he's like, "You know what? I need more time. Can you bring in a bigger timer? Go get it from my girlfriend." And it turns into Peggy repeatedly smuggling in, I think it's meth.
It's cocaine.
Smuggling in good cocaine. Mm-hmm. Into the jail, and Peggy did not realize until she was like, I have to stop bringing timers. And the guy was like, "Really? I'm going to blackmail you now." But this would be Crystal.
This would be 100% be Crystal. It
100%
definitely would
be
be
Crystal.
Crystal. She'd be like, what did I do?
I mean, the worlds are colliding. Now, some people might have said, like, what the hell does King of the Hill have to do with Dynasty?
This is it. This is it, people. We make those connections. That's where you join us.
That's right.
Exactly. So while Claudia is bringing hell to the Vance Gallery, and then she just walks out too. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
After she's like, I've said what I have to say.
Yeah, Claudia is a good flouncer. And
she
we'll see
walks out now.
that will live on.
It will. It will.
It will.
It will. She walks out though, and then we get back to Matthew. Matthew and the boys still down at the rig, still waiting for that oral to come in.
I look at this and I think, watch pot boils, dudes.
They're really into it, but after they've clearly been there all day, because as we remember, we saw them at the very beginning of the episode. Many things have happened since then.
And Matthew left last night.
Oh yeah, last night to go. But he also told Claudia it could take a while.
Yeah.
So I could also, again, when we talk about both of them being right here, Claudia's not about to hang out in like a crew trailer for 24 hours when you have a kid.
If it's good enough for Crystal, it's good enough for Claudia.
Oh my. Oh, okay. We're getting serious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my. So as they're waiting for the oil to come in, excitedly enough, guess what? It comes in. Yay! Now
I will drink to that.
we're gonna drink to that. Let's drink to that.
Yay.
Yay! Cheers, Earl. So good. I love that stuff. And now this is actually very exciting for them.
It is.
This is what we've been waiting the entire show essentially for this oil to come in through many ups and downs. Finally now the Lancashire Blaisdell site has got some Earl.
Mouthful.
Some Earl, exactly. I'm like,
And they celebrate by
heading on down to the hillside.
Well, before that, they dance in the plume of crude oil.
They do, which every time when I was watching that scene, I'm just like, I feel slimy that you are ruining those clothes, and then you're gonna go to the bar and track that in on the carpet.
On the carpet, and you know they don't wash their own clothes.
They don't wash that carpet. This is why you don't go to a carpeted bar, a carpeted bathroom. It's always a bad idea.
Yeah.
Ugh. But while these gentlemen are celebrating, Fallon runs into Blake and they have a little chit chat, and she actually informs him that the Blaisdell Lancashire oil rig has hit.
Oh,
pay dirt.
He looks like he's gonna be ill. He looks like he's gonna vomit when he hears this.
He's so mad.
My thing is, like, shouldn't you be worried about your own business? Like, this doesn't affect you at all, Blake. Like, earlier in the episode, he was telling Crystal, "Oh, we got half of the oil reserves back." Because remember, last week they were taken over and nationalized by some radical government. He's talking about Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, we got half of the oil back," and Crystal's like, "Oh, that's really great." So I don't understand why Walter and Matthew having one rig. Just really, we know why. Crystal.
Obviously. And I think also he's a little bit bitter because they do talk about...
He tried to sabotage, and it didn't work.
He tries to sabotage him over and over, and they do in the next scene, which actually isn't relevant, so I'm not giving a spoiler here. But one of the crew members, when they're toasting their good fortune, makes a reference to the fact that a bunch of the other big oil riggers had passed up that space, thinking that there was nothing there. But Walter, with his hardened, wizened, experienced ways, could smell the oil.
He could smell it.
He could smell that oil. So it does come through. But this scene is kind of adorable also because Fallon is complaining about the fact that Jeff has invited her to Paris to join him. And she hates the hotels that he has picked out. And again, here at Wine and Dynasty.
White wine problems.
Because we here at Wine and Dynasty try to do our due diligence, so we looked up the hotels that she is complaining about, and the hotels that she's complaining about are the George Cinq Hotel, which is the Four Seasons. Yeah. Bitch, how are you going to hate the Four Seasons?
Like, I don't like the Four Seasons. We know what she doesn't like about there. Her husband
Jeff. Her husband Jeff.
That's why she doesn't like it.
Exactly. And the other hotel that she shits on is the Le Maurice. Again, a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
A 5-star hotel. So you know what, Fallon? Nothing's good enough for you.
It's not. And also, she starts making, and this is when their shtick gets really weird, and they start making Nazi jokes. And she's like, she doesn't want to stay at the second hotel because, she doesn't want to stay at the second hotel because, the Nazi headquarters were based there. But I'm like, I just thought now, like, rewind it back. She was talking about how she's totally fine with the company policy of no blacks, no gays, no Jews, and no Eskimos. So it's like, do you really care about Jewish people? Do you, Fallon?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
You're just doing it for the Nazi joke. And
Well,
it's
then,
kinda like,
and then Blake is like, well, I'd bet on you anyway.
oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
they have this awkward, flirtatious exchange, which you see here, where they hug, and Blake is kind of playfully laughing, and so
Oh, and
is
his
Fallon.
hair is undone too. He's got that bang down, so it's in turmoil.
It's-
and when his hair is not perfectly shellacked, that is a woman you have come unloosed type thing.
Yo,
Like,
and we already know that relationship is messed up.
he's
Like,
about to have his Ophelia moment. He's freaking
probably.
out, man.
He probably smells the sex on her. I don't even know. It's terrible.
Ooh,
Ugh,
oh, no.
ugh. All right.
Oh, I need to rinse my mouth out.
There you
Okay.
go. Let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna join you on that. Ugh, my brain.
Yeah. I mean, Fallon thinks she can charm her way in or out of anything.
I mean, she has.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Exactly.
so good.
Exactly. So let's move away from Fallon and Blake and back to the boys celebrating.
Woohoo! All right. So at the hillside, the place where wildcatters and roughnecks go to experience the full range of human emotions. All right. So last week it was rage when we saw Matthew kick Ed's ass.
Oh, so satisfying.
And this week it is a party as the men of the Blaisdell Lancashire Well are partying it up. They're a cute little toast, and the men beg Walter to play the piano, and he obliges.
It's very adorable.
It's a
very
really
adorable.
great scene. They're doing some rootin' tootin' and bootin' scootin'.
They are.
They're
They
dancing
are.
with each other.
They are. And they're showing their emotions.
They are.
They're showing their emotions. You know, Matthew takes this moment to toast Walter. You can see in the upper left-hand corner this image of all the men taking their sip after this toast.
Yeah.
But Matthew really, really puts some feelings out there. And he says, you know, this is the man who's been like a father to me. This is the man
Yes.
who has believed in me. This is the man who has pushed me. This is the man who has educated me. And
Walter's like, keep going.
Exactly.
Keep going. He's like, tell me more.
Exactly. Tell me how adorable I am with my little mustache.
I mean, I think it's such a good contrast to their relationship. I think that, in the top right.
Top right.
Yeah. Matthew's kind of looking adoringly at Walter. And then in the top middle, Walter is basking in that admiration. And so while,
He's so cute.
I think that, if he really wanted to show Walter he loved him, he would punch him in the face because Walter's into that.
Yes, right.
But, it's a really nice window
Yes.
into their relationship, and they really respect and admire each other. And it's the kind of working relationship that Blake will probably never have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that here is really the huge contrast. Like,
It's like our relationship when we work together.
when our oil comes in.
When our oral,
When
we're
our
not
oil-
dancing in it.
No, we're not dancing.
Oh
No.
my God.
Oh my God. No. Flour and butter, dancing in that. First of all, I'm going to break my neck. Second of all, I'm never going to get that out of my clothes. Like, that's. No.
It is.
No.
It is. It's just like us.
No, exactly.
I do think that, when the guys have Walter play the piano, it's no secret. And every time Walter plays the piano, he makes sure he's like, I play the piano, no homo. Like, he really
Every time.
It's like his
Every
version
time.
of it, because he's like, oh, Stradivarius, and like he lists off all of these musicians, and then he's like, and just like Terry Bradshaw. It's like you had to put that athlete in there to let everyone know that tough guys play piano too.
right. That's right.
Just we're not soft, but it's just it's a funny reminder of the not so funny idea of the toxic masculinity that runs through some of the attitudes and the way that these men behave in the show. But I did think it was pretty funny. He was like Stradivarius, Terry Bradshaw.
I love it.
I mean, I'm sure Terry Bradshaw would be happy to be included.
I'm sure it would
on
be
this,
referenced.
this list of artistes.
Of course,
but I
exactly.
mean, the guy's reaction to listening to him.
I love
play
it.
the
Look at
piano.
them. Look in this lower left-hand corner. You see them joyfully kind of listening to him. And I took a number of shots. We would have had to do 2 slides to show all of them. But they do a lovely pan across all the crew. And they're all either looking at him with this like adoration and admiration, or they're kind of bouncing happily along.
It's white boy joy.
It is some serious white boy, non-toxic
Non-toxic white boy joy.
white boy joy. It's adorable. It's adorable.
It really is.
It's adorable, which is unfortunate because from this moment of jubilation, Matthew takes himself home, and finds that Claudia is not home, but Lindsay is.
That's right.
And Lindsay is somewhat upset that she has come home. Claudia is still not home. She has not heard from her, does not know where she is. And Matthew comes home excitedly telling her that the oil has in fact come in. That the Earl has come in and he has gotten a present, a record that was the first song that they ever danced to.
That's really sweet.
For Claudia, which is absolutely adorable.
But his gift to Lindsay is very adult. He brings her some chocolate-covered Brazil nuts, which are her favorite. I'm like, that is a very unique choice for a teenager.
Also really bougie. Brazil nuts are expensive. Like, of all the nuts, Brazil nuts are expensive. That's like some macadamia nut shit.
I don't even like Brazil
nuts. No, they're gross.
Okay.
The texture of a Brazil nut is not good.
I have been debating back and forth of whether or not I was going to share this story. But, so my grandfather really liked Brazil nuts because they would come in like the mixed pack, right? Mm-hmm. But my grandfather called them Negro toes. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'll say. He called them Negro toes. And so he'd be like,
content warning,
I know, like, I don't want anyone to repeat this. And like, so he'd be like, bring me one of them Negro toes, and we'd bring him one, and then my grandfather passes away, but we always think of him when we see a Brazil nut. So fast forward a couple of years later, my brother and I are shopping for Christmas, and of course, what's Christmas if you don't put some nuts in your stocking?
It's true. It's true.
I said nuts in your stocking.
We're adults.
So we're going to buy like some mix of nuts, and my brother was like, "Oh, we got to get the NTs because you don't say that in mixed company." And then a white man started laughing, and my brother was like, "What you laughing at?" He was like, I see you, sir. I see you.
Tone it down. Tone it down.
He's like, that wasn't for you.
That wasn't for you, sir. You better not. Who's laughing? Who is laughing?
But it was, exactly. Like, that joke was not for you. But it was just such a nice reminder of my grandfather. But yeah, my brother was like, get them NTs. And the guy was like, and he was like,
no. So what you're not going to do is laugh at that joke.
Yeah. So I can never hear about a Brazil nut without thinking of those chains of events in my life.
I'm pretty sure that Lindsay's not thinking of that at all.
She's just like, I'm a bougie bitch. I like
these Brazil nuts because I'm a vegetarian now. I lived with my grandma.
I don't know. I think as a kid, if someone brought me like a box of like chocolate-covered Brazil nuts, I'd be like, what in the hell?
I would suck the chocolate off and spit out the nuts.
Yeah, I'd be like, what? Ew.
I 100% would be like, I don't know what this is. But maybe that was like a thing. Like maybe Brazil nuts were like the thing in the early 80s. Like, when like pistachio.
I'm imagining like the Brazil nut lobby doing Oh my God, it's okay. We're all okay.
I don't know.
I imagine like the Brazil nut lobby doing a commercial all of the California raisins, only with the Brazil nuts. So people dressed in like brown paper bags, like dancing around on a stage.
Wow. Here at Wine and Dynasty, we imagine how racist things could have been in the 80s. Not just how racist they were.
I know.
So good. So good.
There's not enough racism. We have to do speculative racism.
About nuts.
That's going to be a new genre. Speculative racism.
By the by, we will not be here next week because we're about to get kicked out of the co-op. So welcome to the final episode of Wine and Dynasty, where we talk about racism and never talk again.
And we're silenced. Silenced.
Oh my gosh, okay. Now I don't even want to say, I don't want to continue the thing though, because now I'm going to be like, and then Lindsay's like,
no, we got to do the best part.
Okay, so Lindsay obviously still distracted by the fact that her mother is not home, and B, by the fact that she, in last week's episode, had gone down to the Office of Records and discovered that her parents were very young when she had when they had gotten married, and therefore conceived her because she was the reason that they had gotten married. And though she has not told her parents this, Matthew notices that something is going on with her and says, Lindsay, what's going on? She confronts him with this information and asks him in a very melodramatic way if this, in fact, makes
because that's how Lindsay do.
Yo, Lindsay cried. But again, I give her a lot of credit because this actress hits it home. You really think she's hysterical in every single scene.
Oh, absolutely.
And she asks Matthew, does that make her a quote-unquote a bastard?
Am I a bastard?
Am I a bastard?
Aw,
Now,
baby
first of all,
girl.
baby girl, you were born in wedlock, so no, that doesn't make you a bastard. And number two, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It don't matter. And as Tanya has told her for the last 2 episodes that it does not matter, Matthew reassures her of the exact same thing.
Yeah.
That while they were young and it was a surprise when Lindsay was coming along, that they loved each other and they made the choice to try to make it work together.
But Lindsay, ever being the grammarian, she said, you loved past tense. Do you love her now?
Ooh. And let's be real, Matthew's caught on that.
Yeah.
Matthew does not have a quick answer.
And a little child shall lead them.
Yo,
Yeah.
Lindsay.
It's really, she's like spitting fire.
Lindsay's keeping it real in this episode.
And then in pure Claudia fashion.
Pure Claudia fashion.
As she walks out, she like turns back around and is like, oh, and congratulations on the well.
On your little well.
I mean, she really is like,
Well, first of all, that little well is paying for your private school.
That is
it's
true.
It's paying for your chocolate-covered Brazil nuts. Okay?
fancy.
Fancy.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of attitude for a little kid.
I know. I love it though. It's like Claudia like lives through her. I love it.
100%.
I absolutely love it for her.
Oh goodness. Oh, Lindsay.
I'm like, look, we're almost not over this.
We
week.
are. Well, okay, let's keep going then.
Because it's our new structure.
It is our new structure.
Talk about that
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later because we will go over.
We will.
So talking about Claudia, the last episode finds us.
Well, Claudia is in Steven's cabin. Now, his cabin. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So she says she can't, no. Okay, so they have a talk, and they're very vulnerable with each other. She talks about the affair, and she says that, she can't come out and talk about it because the truth is going to hurt her. Mm-hmm. He, in turn, she kind of self-sabotages herself and is like, why are you letting me be here? Why don't you just tell me to leave? And Steven's like, no, you can stay. And she's like, fine, then hold me.
Ooh.
And then the next thing you know,
fire embrace, lower left-hand corner.
They are locked in an embrace.
Faces turned into each other, hands everywhere.
It's some endless love shit. And the next thing you know, boom, they're in bed.
Boom.
They are in bed.
Boom. Naked.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Love that chest, Al Corley.
So the first thing is, she definitely invited herself to that cabin, which I'm not mad at, because I think that when people say a cabin, it is one of two things. It is a shithole shack or it is a palace. And in the case of the Carringtons, of course, it is a palace.
Palatial lodge.
It's so nice.
Absolutely.
And there's crystal and cocktail. Get away from me. My dog. I think once you like step back from the mic, you don't get to pick it up again.
No, you're done. You're done.
You're not
no
here.
reentry. No reentry.
So their conversation though in bed is really interesting, because she keeps trying to convince herself, even though they just had sex, they're like, oh, we're just friends. Like first she says, your kiss is brotherly, and the next thing you know, they're in bed together. But Steven's like, so funny story, you're the first woman that I've ever been with. I don't think he's so much telling her that as asking her, was it good? Was it good to you? I like it. Was it good to you? Ooh, I like it. And she says, yeah. Yeah. She was like, yeah.
It's because he's so sweet and tender.
It's tender. Because
he's so sweet and tender.
Steven is a tenderoni.
He is a tenderoni. His sweetness transcends gender.
Which is really interesting.
I really wanted her to come out in that moment. I really wanted her to be like, and by the way, I'm a dyke. I was waiting for it. I was really waiting. When she said, like, the transcends gender thing, I was like...
It's very interesting the way that they talk about... I think a lot of times the way that they talk about sexuality, gender is always, like, they're not separate.
No. Yeah.
And so it's... I guess a confusion of terminology. Like they're not sure of what words to use, because I think if Steven was like, yeah, I'm pansexual.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, and that terminology back then, people would have been like, you like pants?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I meant to do a search of the use of words, because like when did people, in the 80s were bisexual, the bi erasure I'm sure was the norm.
Yeah,
I mean, it still is for a lot of people.
Yeah, I would say like gay and lesbian were the term that was used most frequently. And
roommates, friends.
Exactly.
My special friend.
Special friends. And then the term bisexuality. I think that like bisexual visibility came after that.
Yeah.
Especially with the AIDS pandemic.
Right.
AIDS
epidemic.
Thank you. Wow, my brain. With the AIDS epidemic, you know, a lot of gay terminology just became silenced.
Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about being gay.
Right.
Because gays were disgusting. And dirty.
Yeah. So I just find that very interesting. I just feel like a lot of the issues in I don't want to. No, I'm going to say feigned confusion, because people seem to be very confused about Steven's sexuality. And it's like, it's not important.
And it's also not that complicated?
Yeah, it's not complicated at all. It's not important, but I think sometimes lacking a word makes you unable to really firmly grasp something. And we see that with all of the people struggling through this journey.
And Steven seems to be struggling too. I mean, he says, I'm still trying to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
But it's not conflicted about that. It's more of a matter-of-fact statement of, I know that I love Ted. I know that I loved a man. I am trying to figure out who I am as a human being.
Again, Steven is also another person who, like, upon meeting with him and talking with him, you're like, oh, you've been to therapy, haven't you?
Oh, definitely.
Or you spend a lot of time, really thinking about who you are and what you are and how to.
He's a gay boy living in New York. I mean, like, I hope he's been to therapy. I hope so.
I mean, honestly, the things that Claudia says about him, about his tenderness, about how, what a good man he is, I'm like, that's why Ted can't let go.
Yep. Completely legitimate.
When you find a tenderoni and the roni is so right, I think I want to love him for the rest of my life.
And that's where we end this episode. We end them in bed, having embracing again.
Full body naked embrace.
Horizontal
hoochie coochie.
In bed. Also, another one, like, you don't call home. You don't tell them I'm gone for the weekend.
She's just like me. Just disappears.
She's out. She's like, I am going to Tokyo. Fuck all of you. I'm done.
All right.
I'm done.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
It was very good.
So now we're at our favorite part of the show, which is the whole show. But our favorite part, which is when we talk about our high school superlatives for the week. So let's see who they are. Oh my God!
Hi,
everyone. Oh, thank you.
9 weeks running.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, not 9 weeks, but 9 episodes running.
9 episodes running. That's definitely some kind of record.
I'm so proud.
I'm proud of
so
us.
proud. That's toast.
Thank you.
Oh my, I try hard.
The Academy knows.
I need everyone to watch, like all 3 of you. I try really hard.
One of them is me.
And
You're
no
welcome.
shade to the rewatchers. Like,
No.
we love you.
We love you all.
Not everyone can get away for a lunch break. We understand that.
true.
It's fine.
One of our regular watchers is in Texas right now.
So
She's actually working. I mean, she works all the time, but she's like working hard.
no, in a couple of weeks we'll be like, there's dozens of us.
Exactly.
Okay.
So many.
My high school superlative is best clapback, and that is for Lindsay when she tells Matthew, like, as she's talking to him about all the problems, and she's like, good job with your little well, and then walks out. I mean, it's really reminiscent of Claudia. Claudia is really good at getting in that last word and then flouncing.
Oh, and she do.
So I feel like Lindsay's probably really angry because of the lack of concern that he's showing over the fact that Claudia's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be alarmed, Matthew. Be alarmed,
he is
bro.
not.
And he's not. Like, he's too nonchalant about
very
it.
blasé.
And so Lindsay's like, all right, I'll fix your wagon. Fuck your little well.
Fuck your little well.
So good for you,
Earl.
Lindsay.
You're Earl. I love it. And my high school superlative this week is for a background character who is just so adorable. He is the most enthusiastic piano lover. Mm-hmm. I'm giving him that award because when Walter sits down at the piano, this man, between his beer and his cigar, he is living his best life. He is jamming along to the piano. Mm-hmm. He is feeling the music. Yeah. He wants to dance with somebody. He's also very enthusiastic when the oil comes in. So I don't know his name, but I am giving my award this week to this lovely gentleman because he's adorable, enthusiastic. I love a bear. Mm-hmm. And there we go.
Oh yeah, I think his name is Judd, probably.
I mean, I hope it is.
I like Judd. Yeah, he's the kind of person you need in your squad. Like, he's always going to be enthusiastically propping you up.
Absolutely. Also, like, literally propping you up because look at those arms. So burly. So burly.
Hey, Judd.
Boop. So there we go. We've done it. Yet another week here at Wine and Dynasty.
I would just like to laugh at the fact that I spilled my apple cider on my keyboard despite it being in a wine tumbler.
That was me screaming. That was why I screamed.
It was a combination. It was the scream plus the spill plus my dog, like, jumping out of my lap. This was like the best. It was like abrupt chaos.
So sorry.
No, we have to clip this and like put it up later
This is
because
gonna
it's
be-
like
this
it's
is gonna be
funny.
our show.
But yeah, I'm like I spilled from a sippy cup.
Well, it's also be funny that you were literally like, we need to get sippy cups for our water, so we don't, because we only have one fancy cup and then one water cup because we like to be hydrating and responsible.
That's right.
But then you spilled from your sippy cup, so I don't have anything to say to you about that.
Womp womp.
We're gonna have to get you one of the flip tops,
I know, like the three, like the cups you have to like press two different buttons
Exactly,
to like
at the same
liquids.
time, and then you're like all the time. Oh my god, I babysat for a kid once who had one of those, and I could not figure out how to open the bottle the whole time that I was babysitting for him, and so I was like, I'm just gonna screw up the tap, just drink from it, you're fine.
I'd be like, well, you're just gonna have to dehydrate.
Yo, literally, the parent came home, and I was like, so. How do you?
He's still alive, right?
I mean, like, he drank from the cup. Like, I just had to sit there and like pour the cup into his mouth. But it was definitely one of those moments where I was like, well, you're too young for me to ask you how this works.
Right.
And also, like, I can't reach your parents.
It's good practice when he goes to college and he's like sharing bottles with people and he doesn't want to put his mouth on it.
Not post-corona. You better
The things we used to do.
bring your own bottle, everybody. It's BYOB. Bring your own bottle of Corona-less alcohol or non-alcohol. Whatever you want.
All right, let's wrap this up
All
because
right.
we're over again.
We're over
Every
again.
time,
Not
every
that
time.
bad. Not that bad.
No, it's
all
not
right.
that
So
bad.
we're on our way out next week. Join us again for episode 10, the beating, which.
The beating.
Whew,
Wow.
We are going to have a little bit of a content warning for that. There is some pretty heavy violence in that episode. So just a content warning if you would like to watch previous to joining us next week. If you would like to watch, you can watch episodes of Dynasty on Amazon Prime, YouTube Premium, Vudu, Apple TV.
Yes.
So there's multiple ways for you to follow along with us. If you would like to join us, we will issue that content warning during the episode and before the episode.
Yes,
so
yes.
just to make sure that everybody is okay.
That's right.
And if you would like to come back and join the Pop Culture Co-op for some wonderful programming, the next two shows up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. EST. So that's tomorrow, Thursday, 5, 6 at 8 p.m. will be Dick Simpson was here with Stacy and Karen. They will be discussing the Crows Have Eyes episode, which is freaking hilarious.
Oh my
if you
gosh,
haven't,
it's amazing.
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And on Friday night at 10 p.m. will be Bring Singles with Ashley and Lauren.
All right, so full slate this weekend. It's going to be fantastic.
Love it.
So come join us on Pop Culture Co-op. This is another wonderful episode. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Larita.
I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.